If you look at the 2006, the Forest Rights Act, it fundamentally alters the colonial forest law on its head. What is that? It transfers the ownership of forest resources and natural resources from that of the state to the community. And that is a fundamental change brought about by the 2006 Forest Rights Act for the tribal people actually. In other words, if you were to read the Forest Rights Act in consonance with the 5th schedule and the PISA, the tribal lands cannot be alienated, and in the process that tribal people's access to and control over their resources, and so their knowledge system cannot be alienated in this country. But what the state does is entirely different. This is where I would want to bring in the Niyamgiri case here. Niyamgiri case is the case of the primitive tribal groups Konds, Dongria Konds and Kutia Konds, whose language doesn't count primarily because they are only 7,000 people. And they are primitive, but then they own the entire Niyamgiri hills actually. When we talk to people, they would, families would show you those ranges I own. Now that is the range they cultivate, and so they moved from one patch of the land to the another patch of the land because they cultivated the shifting, they practiced the shifting cultivation. What happened in Niyamgiri case is that it is a Schedule 5 area, so PISA is applicable. It is governed by the Forest Rights Act. In other words, communities' right to the forest needed to be recognized first. In other words, the entire area where mining were to happen, the tribal people had access to and control over that land as such. Their rights needed to be recognized first, and their concern needed to be sought thereafter, and then only comes the situation whether the government can grant that land to mining or not. The government of Orissa says that it has implemented all acts. The Ministry of Environment Forest said, it has followed the Forest Protection Act and Tribal Rights Act. The Supreme Court of India grants permission, asks the Ministry of Environment that mining can be allowed. Where all these institutions of the state had in its possession the knowledge and the information that none of the provisions of the Constitution relating to the tribal people were fulfilled.